This is a Hollywood Outsider, and this episode is a special Paranormal Activity spoiler cast. We're going to talk about all 4 movies, little tidbits of here and there. So don't listen to this if you haven't seen any of the movies. If you thought you were turning into a regular episode, that would be somewhere else. This is just a spoiler cast. So with me today are my fellow hosts, Scott Clark.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. Justin McCumber.
How are you doing, man?
Great. And Brian Williams.
Hello.
Hello. And I'm Aaron Peterson, if I didn't say so. But if I did say so, you get to hear my name twice in an episode. You're welcome. Let's start with where we left off. Where are we, and what have we learned from the story from the first 3 films so far, Justin?
Well, if you want to take it in the chronology that the movies gave it out, it's a lot more difficult. But let's go ahead and try and do it backwards, starting off with Paranormal Activity 3, which of these films is the earliest one. It starts off with a young Katie and Christy living with their mother, Julie, and, of course, her boyfriend, Dennis. This film tries to lay the groundwork for everything that had already come before, and it's always hard to create a story and give a little bit of the backstory to it, but then try and go back and flesh all that out, because you can create as many problems as you solve, because in a lot of ways you can be creating things in these earlier movies that now, why didn't those things get mentioned in the first film? Why didn't you suddenly can't have twists because, well, they weren't brought up, they weren't mentioned. But the writers here were smart. They kept things fairly simple, and so they didn't have to run into a lot of those problems. But in Paranormal Activity 3, you've got these 2 little girls who suddenly seem to be getting menaced by a supernatural force, of course, because of their mother's boyfriend being a video photographer and editor. He's got access to lots of cameras. He thinks it's a good idea to try and set these cameras up to find out what's going on. He comes at the end of that film to fucking regret ever sticking around this family or getting involved in what's going on. But you find out in this film that their grandmother is a member of a coven. Apparently, their mother didn't know this, or if she knew it, she had been made to forget it. But their grandmother is a member of a coven that made a deal with a demon, and when that family gave birth to a boy, then that boy would be given to that demon. Well, of course, their mother didn't give birth to a boy. She had 2 girls. And so now in the second film, it falls on one of those girls to see if they can deliver a boy child. And of course, Christy does in that film give birth to a boy. When that boy is born, weird shit starts to happen. And of course, at the end of it, Julie is dead. Her husband is dead. Pretty much everybody is dead. And who killed them? Let's go back to the first film. In the first film, you start to get little snippets of those things that happened in Paranormal Activity 3. You see a picture that was taken of them as little girls, and of course that scene is enacted in that third film. You find out a little bit about their past, that it wasn't a nice one. Some strange things went on. Filming takes place yet again. In the second film, you realize why Katie is harassed and possessed. It's because in that second film, Christy's husband, I don't know if you'd say it was casting a spell or gave a prayer that would take the troubles and the demon away from them and give it to her sister. After that happened, Christy couldn't remember any of these things happening. But of course, go to the first film. Now, Katie gets possessed. All those shenanigans take place. She kills her husband. But were they married in the first film?
I don't think they.
No, I don't think they were married. They were just living together.
Living together.
Sinners.
Well, yes, living in sin. You got coming what you got coming. He gets killed. And then, of course, now you know from the second film that Katie then goes over to her sister's house, kills the husband, kills her own sister, takes the baby, and then flees, which leads us right into the fourth film.
Oof. Now, Paranormal Activity 4 takes the film in a little bit of a different direction, showing a new family being tormented. And then it wraps up kind of like a change in focus. Is this also like a monster movie now?
Yeah, it looks like it's going that way. That was something I really wasn't, I guess, too pleased about. It's had the demon possession and stuff, and maybe it's just the way it's inevitably got to evolve here. Although you don't even see the monsters till the last 2 seconds, something like that. I mean, what's her name? She does. Hey, you see her face change, so it's like the last 1 minute of the movie, I believe it is, and then you see this giant coven of all these demon people, monster people. I don't know what exactly they are. I'm sure in number 5 this time next year, we'll get a little bit more information. But
roughly in the last 10 minutes. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. If they do go the monster route now, all of a sudden it's almost like it's just like every other monster, every other horror movie. So
they're just gonna start calling it activity.
I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah, what the hell was that? It was like a coven of 1,000 monster witches.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like all of us. It was like a scary Justin Bieber concert just released, and there's thousands of people in the front yard. Where the fuck do they come from?
Well, if you remember in the third film, which, as I said earlier, is the actually earliest taking place film, at the end of it, when the mother and her boyfriend ran to her mother's house thinking it was going to be a place of safety, and of course they're running right into the devil's lair, as it were. At the end of that movie, you saw in her garage or something that there were a huge collection of women gathered, and of course it's the coven that the Katie and Christie's grandmother belongs to. I think what you see in the fourth film is that coven, but now 20 years later, give or take, somewhere about that. And so what we're seeing now is that coven made larger, waiting for Hunter to assume whatever position he's going to be assuming with the demon in him or around him.
You made that sound like a totally different kind of movie right there.
Wow.
I'm just saying. That sounded very awkward.
But that whole concept with seeing the coven worked in the third one because it was just a coven. I mean, not just. That's not the right word. These were the people that were orchestrating and being instructed by whatever entity that it was. In the fourth one, they're made to look like they're all now possessed or demonic or something, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
It
just came out of nowhere.
Right. It didn't make any. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, like Justin said, it's like 20 years later or whatever. But who cares? I mean, the fun of this movie is the entity that is there, that's unseen, that we're not that's making stuff move and grabbing people and dragging them across the floor. When you enter into that like monster territory, like you're saying, it just kind of defeats the whole purpose of it being paranormal activity.
Yeah. Like
I said, at this point, it's just activity. Just scare. You know what I mean? It didn't work for me.
To Brian's credit, I got to completely agree, because when I guess you think if you haven't seen the movie, well, why would you be listening to the spoiler cast? But when they shift the camera from Alex to the crowd, there's like hundreds of them. Mm-hmm. It's not just 3 or 4 of them. Now I can't remember. Is she using an infrared camera?
So when she was carrying around at that point.
So maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was an infrared. I have no idea, but
no, it was
a low light.
It was what?
Yeah.
It looked like it had like a night vision kind of filter on it.
So where are these people hiding? Are these monsters hiding? Like nobody's going to see them hanging out in the backyard?
Well, no, they had the one shot, if you remember, where she was watching them across the street, and all these people were piling out of their cars and going into the house when they.
Yeah, but it was a few cars though.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, like the driveway, there was only like 2 cars in the driveway. There was still plenty of room for 2 or 3 other cars. They could have crammed in there if if it was really a all coven hands on deck type of situation or something. I mean.
Well, maybe these cars are magically enabled, like bags of holding. You open it, it's like fucking clowns. They
just start
pouring out of it.
Well, I mean, it went from they got this small house and Katie's just popping around scaring the piss out of you to she walks in the backyard and suddenly it's like Obama's inauguration. And there's like thousands of people. I'm like, where do these people come from?
I tell you, for a quick second, though, I thought about tying it in with VHS. The way one or two of those stories in VHS.
Oh, that would be cool.
How so? Oh, I like you.
Yeah.
I don't know why all those people suddenly had these demonic faces. I do think that kind of lessens the scare of just one of them having that face on. But I do like the idea that what's going on. Not only is it a demon, but it's also the actions of a focused group of people. And it's not just, one witch or two witches, but this is, it's building up to something really big. And these people have been working towards it for a fairly long period of time. There are aspects of the story, though, that I completely don't understand. And I think we're going to get into that with some stuff later. But for now, is it a monster movie? No, I don't think so. I think they're probably going to start ending it with the next one. And then if they do another Paranormal Activity, it'll just be someone else's family, is some entirely new menace. But I'm hoping that they don't try and drag it out too much longer.
Okay, next topic. Who is the creepy kid, Robbie, and all this? And how did Hunter end up getting adopted?
This is one of the interesting things that they did in this story, which I liked and I didn't like, because we're in spoiler territory, obviously, now at this point, because we're introduced to Robbie, and we're made to assume that this is Hunter throughout most of the movie.
Yeah, I thought it was Hunter.
I did, and then we're made to think it, and they kind of flipped it on its head a little bit by, oh no, Robbie is apparently has something to do with Katie. We don't know what. Was he adopted? Did she pick him up to use him to find Hunter? Mm-hmm. How did she find Hunter? Hunter is actually this new family that we're introduced to. Is their adopted son. And you don't find that twist until about 2/3 through the movie, and that was really cool. But at the same time, it just opens so many questions, and that's what I don't want to see this series do. I want them to start answering more questions instead of creating new ones. And that's totally what the last 5 minutes even did. I mean, it was so unsatisfying. What's with the kid? Who is he? There's no relation. There's no explanation. Is Paranormal Activity 5 going to be like his whole backstory? It seems like a cheap way to get into another movie.
I agree with that. And the adopted thing just makes no sense. I mean, Katie stole the kid at the end of Paranormal Activity 2.
So how did she lose him?
So how did she lose him enough to be adopted?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, but we don't know that she lost him. Unfortunately, what we know is next to nothing. But that means that we can't make assumptions that she fucked up.
But isn't it? I mean, I'm sorry, but isn't it odd that I think that it's something strategically done? Easy for me to say. I think it's the fact that she gave it up because now they're on the lookout. Let's say the cops are on the lookout for her with a little kid or what have you. So now they can't track her that way, but yet the kid is being taken care of and she's living close by so she can keep tabs on him.
That's kind of what I got, that this was some kind of a planned thing, that for whatever reason, whether it's what Brian said, that it was to throw off the people who were searching for them, or maybe he needed to be raised by other people for a certain length of time. Who knows? I wouldn't assume, though, that it's because demon-possessed Katie fucked up, but more this was done on purpose. For what reason, we don't know.
No, I don't mean that she fucked up. I mean, how do you go from woman has child, and this child somehow, when I say lose him, I don't mean that she screwed up and lost him. How does Hunter get away from him intentionally or not? And then this child is given up for adoption to a strange family.
Well, all she had to do was take the child to a safe haven area, because the Hunter was just a baby when she took him. I mean, no more than 10 months?
Yeah, he's pretty young.
Right.
Somewhere, all she has to do is take him to one of those safe haven places, like a fire department, leave him there, knowing that he will be put into the system to be adopted, and then just using her demon-y senses, follow where he goes.
And the only thing I could think is maybe Robbie really is Katie's son. Maybe he's a little younger than the kid that plays Hunter. And, that's why he keeps calling her mommy and she's referred to as mommy. Maybe, they gave him up for adoption, and then Robbie and Katie moved into the house across the street so they could come back for Hunter when he hit the right age.
Well, that opens all more new questions. Who's the father? Is she
maybe it was Micah demon? Who she, killed.
Oh.
Maybe she got knocked pregnant. Up, took the baby.
He got dropped a payload before he got off. And it hit.
Cha-ching.
It's like for Battleship.
Skywalker and the Death Star, bitch.
Yeah, we're just reaching. Katie Toby. Toby is the spirit that keeps haunting everybody. What the hell is going on with them? Are they the same?
You mean, is Toby in Katie?
Yeah.
I would have to assume so.
Okay.
But then again, that's the problem with these movies, that they don't give you enough information to really answer these questions. Is Toby always possessing Katie, or does he only do it when he needs to? But and when he's out not possessing her, does she know what the score is and has to, knows to take care of things without him, driving the car, so to speak? I don't know. I really don't.
Where are we? I mean, like I said, I'm confused as hell. I've seen all 4 of these movies. I understood them, and normally I don't get confused in something as simple a plot as this. But I'm trying to understand exactly, is Katie possessed, or is she... I thought she was possessed by Toby. Obviously, she's not possessed by Toby because Toby's hanging out in everybody else's house. So what is possessing her?
Well, but you're talking about a demon. Who knows what powers a demon has? Could a demon possess someone and yet also still be able to project some kind of consciousness out to a child to chat with? Who knows? Again, is Katie always being possessed? Or does he leave her to go do these little kid chats and then Katie's just kind of waiting around for him to come back? These are things we don't know, but when it comes to these kinds of movies and demons, it's so hard to argue what they can and can't do because they can do whatever the writer wants them to do.
You got to remember too, Toby wasn't introduced until the second movie.
Well, the spirit was introduced in the first one,
right? But there,
He didn't have a name.
He didn't have
it.
a name until the second. Well, I think the name came in the third one, didn't it?
Yeah, you're right. Third one
They
is
did use it in the third. I don't know if Katie remembered or Christy remembered that name in the second. I'm not sure.
Ponder that one.
I mean, she was obviously possessed at the end of the first one because you thought she was dead, and then she
Yeah, and
wakes
then
up
she
to
was
look at the
possessed.
camera. So she's possessed by whatever entity this is. So we know that that entity has the ability to exist in the house and also then possess somebody else. So we know that there's that escapist, separation there. So it very well could be. But if that's the case, why did it take so long for Katie to come to the house in the second one to get Hunter?
Well, that happens at the same time. It wasn't really so long.
No. I don't mean from the first Paranormal Activity to the second. I mean throughout Paranormal Activity 2.
Right.
If Toby was there, that meant he was also in. Since those happened at the same time, that he was also in Katie's house and in Christie's house.
But you have to remember, though, at the end of Paranormal Activity 2, or towards the end, when Christie's husband burns the picture and says that prayer that gets the demon out of Christie, from that point until the very end, when Katie comes in and kills them all, that's Paranormal Activity 1. And so what happened is that the demon went to Christie because she had the boy child. She was the one he wanted because her son was due him. But her husband fucked that up by casting the spell, making the prayer, whatever, sending the demon to her sister. Then we go to Paranormal Activity 1. Shitty things freaky things happen. Katie gets possessed. Boom, jump back to Paranormal Activity 2. Katie shows up at the door, kills the husband, kills her sister, takes the baby, and leaves.
Okay.
Hey, one quick question while I'm thinking about it. Brian, we had talked about this earlier about Brian said that he thought it was becoming a monster movie. In the first movie, wasn't the very last shot Katie morphing into this like monster and running and her face just running at the camera? Wasn't it the very last shot of the first movie?
Well, she was dead on the ground, and then she came up and looked at the camera and smelled it, and then walked out of the room. Right?
No, she jumped on her. She threw her boyfriend. He hit the camera, hit the ground. She went down to him to like chew on him, and then looked up at the camera and leapt at it with that demon face.
Okay, so the demon face has been around since the first one.
That's true.
Yes.
Now, Brian, you just watched.
See, I don't remember the demon face.
It was like a split.
Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't catch it. Now, but see, I've actually seen. I actually saw Paranormal Activity. Almost a year before it was released. Mm-hmm. And the ending that I saw was completely different. Now, I don't know if the Blu-ray has that alternate ending on there.
It does.
But does it? Okay, where like the police arrive and she's been sitting there for like 2 or 3 days or something like that with her husband's body or something like that. Is that the one they have on there?
Yeah. I think she fucks the police up too, doesn't she?
I don't know. It's been a few years, obviously, but So yeah, so when I saw the first one again for the second time, that kind of threw me for a loop. Maybe that's why I didn't notice the face, because it kind of threw me off a little bit. But I don't know. I don't know this face thing. I don't know.
It's messing you up.
Nuts. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't so much the one face; it was seeing the hundreds. You know the.
Yeah, because we already knew Katie
Yeah.
had that ability. Or
Well, I forgot about it actually until we're having this conversation right
Yeah.
now. I was like, man, this is the first time they even popped this up on us. And then I was like,
Nope.
maybe they had the first one. Shiznit.
I liked it because the whole film is so real, and then that very last half second, you get a bit of special effect, and it just I didn't see it coming.
So are you guys happy with where the story is right now, or are you really frustrated?
I'm frustrated. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, we've got more questions than answers, and while I like the intrigue, I've been through 4 movies. I think it deserves some answers that far into it.
Yeah, introducing new characters was starting to piss me off. The Robbie thing really pissed me off because I thought it was Hunter, then it made sense, but now it makes no sense, and you didn't explain at all who he is.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know how they could have gone a 4th movie without introducing another family.
I get that, but give me some answers on the stuff you're introducing.
Right.
Robbie just pops up, and I think he's Hunter through 3/4 of the movie, and then suddenly you realize he's not Hunter. Okay, well then who the fuck is he?
Like we said, I think Robbie's just basically a cheap way to get us tied into the 5th movie, or into the.
Yeah, I mean it's a misdirection thing, and I'm fine with that. I mean I don't overthink that. So
Yeah, I kind of liked it. I mean, of course, we all spent the entire movie thinking that the creepy blonde kid from across the street was, going to be Hunter, only to realize later that no, and in fact, it's the boy we've been, seeing the rest of the film who's Hunter. I kind of like that they were able to sneak that one under me.
I agree. I like that, and they usually get something under me, but I just wish they would have explained some stuff. I thought the other ones did a better job of that. Where you get some more questions, but they give you some more answers too. This one just gave me a lot more questions. I didn't really get any answers whatsoever in this movie.
Yeah,
And
I was really disappointed with it.
I was too.
Story-wise, absolutely.
it was more funny than scary.
Yeah, that's actually a really good
Some
point.
of it was just damn right cheesy. I'm telling you, that zombie walk makes me laugh every time I see it. Katie, you're awful at zombie walking. Don't do it. It's just fucking funny. Every time she's walking around, I gotta go to the knife. I'm like, come on, how do you keep a straight face? And I don't think she does.
I did like the knife thing. I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, where the knife gets picked up and then popped down later.
That was pretty. I mean, you knew it was coming.
You just didn't know when.
You just didn't know when because they showed that
I mean,
camera.
but seriously though, I mean, nobody over the course of it, because it was like what, a day or two later, whenever the knife finally dropped. I mean, nobody walking around that house over the course of two days or however long it was noticed a knife. I mean, I know people don't look up all the time, but at some point you're getting a sandwich and you're walking from the living room across the house. The roof is in your peripheral vision. You don't see a shiny giant knife blade hanging from the ceiling.
Well, I mean, who
Well,
said
but
there
this
was
kind of goes off to that other question. How do we know the demon didn't just move the knife somewhere? They couldn't see it. Who says it's been hanging there the whole time? If a spirit can lift the knife up into the air, it can lift it around a corner and into a cabinet until it needs it later.
But all we see on camera is it go straight up. You have to assume it continued to go straight up, not do corners and
Maybe
turns
he used
and
it to
flips
cut
and
the
stuff.
chandelier cable. That's
But
what
it
was
also
for.
rose up from the table and came down over the counter, so it did move.
Yeah, stupid.
I mean, it did move because she put it on the table, and that's when it got jerked up into the air, and it didn't
It
come
landed
down
in
there.
landed in the same spot whenever her husband came back to that same spot.
No, I thought it landed on the counter
because the camera, it was the same camera shot.
No, I didn't think it was. I thought the camera he was looking at was his wife's computer on the counter. But when we saw it, I mean, it was the same camera that saw it. But when it first saw it, she had put it on the table at the far end of the kitchen. But when it dropped right in front of the camera.
I mean,
I only saw it
I
once.
could be
so
misinterpreting it. I mean, I thought it was the same position. I thought, the computer was in the same spot, looking into the living room from the kitchen.
That's the impression I
Which
got.
is-
but I think
which
we're
is
taking
where-
too-
I think
She
we
was
should do
cutting-
a
It's a minor
podcast
point.
on where the knife land.
It's the magic knife.
It's the Magic Knife podcast. We'll just do that. Each film ends with an intense 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, that's really the staple of the franchise. Which ending worked best for you, and what was your favorite overall scare, like your individual scare? Brian?
I think the one where she walks into the room and steals the, was that 3 where she steals the baby?
That was the second one.
Second one? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whatever. The time with these movies is so probably the most fucked up thing about everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the one where her sister is saying, "Hey, who is it? Who's there? Who's there?" And she's like, "Oh, hey," and then all of a sudden you see her body fly up at the camera.
Yeah, that was good.
And it scares you. It kind of catches you off guard. You don't expect that, and then you just see her kind of walking out. So,
What was your favorite overall individual scare? Like that was the scene?
My favorite overall scare is, I believe it's the same one. It's this one's from 3 because it was the one from the 80s with the guy with all the video cameras where he rigs the camera up on the oscillating fan, and it's in the kitchen, and you see the living room up to the front door, and it just kind of goes back and forth, and it's going back and forth in real time, and then you see the white sheet by the door, and then it's a little bit close. By the time it comes back, it's a little closer. Mm-hmm. And then it just, I mean, I've got chill bumps right now talking about it. But
me too.
It's just that, it's, I mean, you know what's going to happen. Right. And you know it's coming. It takes so long to get there, but it's that anticipation. It's that quiet. There's no music. It's that tension that's built up during that whole, 3-minute scene or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long scene. So, but that was probably my favorite overall.
Scotty?
I think my favorite ending was actually the third one. That scene when, I think Justin was the one I mentioned earlier, where the daughter walks into the building that's like not attached to the house and walks in, and just all of a sudden you see all these faces looking up like they're in the middle of a seance or something. That was the moment where I got a spine tingling thing, because you suddenly realize that this is bigger than we thought it was. This isn't just about one entity that's bothering us. There's a lot of stuff going on here that we don't know. That was the ending that worked the best for me. I mean, I love the first one, I love the second one, but when you realize how big this is where it really, really got me going. Favorite overall scare for me was at the very end of the first one. Throughout that movie, things were being moved in the house, things were being moved and adjusted, but nobody was ever touched by a demon. And that first time when her leg is kind of sitting over the edge of the bed and all of a sudden moves and drags her out of bed, and you realize that this thing can actually touch you and hurt you, that unsettled me to no end. And to see her drag away and screamed and that kind of thing, just that little movement of her leg, when you know that something's grabbing her, still.
Yeah, and you thought, well, that's creepy. And then all of a sudden she's just like flammed to the floor and dragged out, the door slams.
But isn't that the great thing in the fourth one? When she gets jerked off that bed and you realize it was just her boyfriend pulling her off the bed, but for a split second you think, oh shit, it's doing it.
That was,
and then you
good.
get that big release of laughter. I thought that was a nice little callback.
Yeah.
My favorite ending is the third one as well. I thought that was kick ass how they amped it up like that, and I really like how it played out, because the whole time you're kind of wondering, well, how's this going to end, because they changed locations and everything, and I'm like, well, is the demon going to come? It's going to be more scary shit, just like the last one, and then you see that coven, and you're like, oh crap. This just went up quite a bit. And then you start to realize the bigger part of the story. I mean, you kind of have pieces of it, but then it all kind of comes together, unlike the fourth one where nothing comes together.
Well, plus, don't you feel like that ending was more satisfying? Like, you know that there's more going on, and you're ready for another one. Whereas opposed to this one, I feel like I'm looking forward for the fifth one just to see how it ends now. I just don't,
Yeah, kind of. I see what you're saying.
I want more information so bad. I don't care if they do the camera shtick anymore. They've made enough money. You make a scary movie with this stuff. It doesn't have to be through the lenses of multiple cameras and used in ingenious ways. I want, like you, at the end of that last one, I want to know more about that coven. I mean, it gave enough. It was a good enough 10, 15 minutes of it. You saw them. It wasn't just the flash the last few seconds like 4. We didn't learn anything in 4 at all.
No, nothing. That's the one movie that didn't really add anything to the story, to my opinion. I mean, it added, but it didn't really solve anything. But
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And there were things, though, that the fourth one even didn't do that the earlier films did. And they try to give a reason for it. You know, in the earlier movies, they're using these cameras, they're capturing images. Occasionally, they see some weird shit on these cameras, and, ooh, let's talk about it. In this film, they never watch the video. And the only time it's even really tried to explain it away, oh, I forgot my login and password.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, here it is. Oh, well, shit, I forgot it again. And so all of these things that are going on, nobody ever sees. But in the earlier three films, there are moments where people look at the documentation that these cameras are getting and react to it. We don't get that. And that's why I think I didn't like the dad in this fourth one.
what was the
very
dumb?
much.
What was the dumb thing? You said he did something really that irritated
He doesn't
you.
listen to her. His daughter is obviously scared of something, trying to get his attention, and the mother suffers from this too. Neither of them give her a moment's consideration, ever. And I really hate when kids in these sorts of movies are completely summarily dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
You have to at least go, honey, let's talk about this. But they always push her off, put it away. They never deal with what's bothering her, and that bothers me.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That got kind of old pretty quick. Him just constantly just patronize. Just okay, all right,
Right.
well, sure. But the first couple, I forget exactly. I don't remember exactly verbatim what he was saying, but like his first one or two reactions, I was like, yeah, I kind of,
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
you know, I that's kind of how I would react. You know?
And another thing that this one didn't do, and I'm sorry, I'll answer your question in a second, but now I'm on a roll. Another thing this movie didn't do is that very few people realize spooky shit's going on. In the first, second, and third movie, you get moments where several people are aware that shit is fucked up, and they're all kind of dealing with it. In this movie, other than the daughter, nobody knows. The mother, other than the knife going missing, I think really ever has a moment that she realizes stuff is fucked up until you get to the very end. And for me, that's too little too late. The dad never knows. The boyfriend never knows until he gets his head, snapped off, which I thought was a really pretty cool little scene.
Yeah, that was
when
actually
he
a
fucking
really good
steps
scene.
back and you see Katie right behind him. It's like, oh my God!
And didn't you think that the whole time that basically she was just going to go away? It was
Yeah,
going to be one
I
of those
didn't-
characters.
yeah.
I didn't see him getting killed at all.
Yeah, same
In
here.
that scene. And harkening back to the dad, the thing that really pissed me off the most in the movie is that when she almost dies in that garage, it's obviously being recorded the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And nobody thinks to, hey, let me check the fucking footage and show Daddy that I got trapped in a garage.
Right.
The car started by itself and I had to drive out of the garage. That never occurs to anybody.
If he goes, let's see this footage of what happened. Oh, I'm sorry, Daddy, I forgot the password. Well, get your boyfriend on the phone.
Yeah.
Well, she tried to talk him into it. She says, let me get him on the phone. I don't know how to log in. I don't know how to get this. But no, that would be the first thing I would want to do as a parent.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. I mean, I'm like, look, we're get in the car and we are going over to his house, get his ass out of bed.
Yeah. You just drove my car through the fucking garage door. We're getting some answers tonight.
That's right.
Yeah. I guarantee that's how it would end. Before Justin, my favorite scare, I really like the Katie getting dragged out of the bed. That's freaking intense. But I'm gonna pull a McCumber, and I'm gonna have an honorable mention, which is the in Paranormal Activity 2, when the sister is walking around the house in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden
Oh,
every
my
fucking
God.
drawer and cabinet and everything else just flies open. That scared the piss out of me.
yeah.
Piss out of me. And I have no idea why, but I was just like, how the fuck did that just happen?
Yeah.
And I've watched it several times, and I still don't see any CGI magic how they made that happen. But
Yep.
it's a great shot.
That's what makes it magic.
That or the one where all the stuff is like on the ceiling. She comes back to the room and like the phone and the knives. And
Oh, yeah,
everything.
everything's up
You're,
there.
you're like, what? Something's missing, and then everything just drops.
Yeah,
Oh, that was awesome.
that was intense. Justin, what's your favorite ending and your favorite moment?
As far as endings go, I've got to go with you and Scotty. I think the third one had the biggest ending, the longest. It almost reminded me a little bit of Blair Witch because he's running around this house with a camera in his hand, just kind of, this whole shaky cam kind of frantic run. It was nice, and that whole opening up of, oh God, there's more going on here than we ever thought. I love that. But for me, the scariest moment in all of them is the Bloody Mary scene in the third one with the older guy and Katie in the bedroom saying Bloody Mary, and then opening that door, and just that darkness spreading from that kid's area of the room, and shit just going crazy, and because it's the guy slamming the door and freaking out really made me freak out, because you expect kids to freak out, but for him to be the one the loudest, oh my God, scared me shitless.
I'm getting goosebumps.
You know, shit's getting real.
Yeah. I mean, I'm picking up that kid and throwing it out there. I'm like, here, take this.
What was your favorite film of the series, Scott?
Oh boy, that's hard, because with how much the stories commingle together a little bit, I'm gonna have to go with the first one, just because the idea was such a fresh idea at the time. I had no idea what to expect. Going into the second and third ones, there were new ideas compounded onto it, but going into the first one with just no clue as to what was going to happen, and the surprise and the sheer joy of getting scared shitless and not knowing why, I enjoyed the first one.
All right. My favorite one is Paranormal Activity 2. I really like where the third one went. I thought story-wise that was the best by far, but the actors were good in the second one. I mean, they were the best, I thought, in the second one. There's a lot of clever shit going on, and unlike the other 3 movies, where it seems like it takes about half the movie before it really starts getting scary, the second one had scares throughout. I mean, it just seemed more even. It seems more of an even movie, and it's the only one that I can rewatch and still enjoy as much. So, because there's still so many, they have a lot of little moments in that one that really make it really clever, not just the last 20 minutes of the movie. Justin?
I got to go with the third one.
Yeah.
I do love the first one because it created the mold for the Paranormal Activity movies, but the third one, I like the characters the most. I like that the 2 little girls were the ones really in peril, and yet also kind of instigators. I mean, when Christy would talk to Toby near that camera, and she would, you'd only hear her part of the conversation was creepy, and the little room they would go into, and the whole Bloody Mary, and the sheet that Brian referenced earlier being, held up and then it dropping to the floor. So many moments in that film just scared the piss out of me. I think the third one's probably my favorite one.
What about you, Brian?
What was the one in the 80s too?
The third one.
That was the third one.
Yeah, that would be mine. There were just so much of the little stuff. You had to really pay attention with it, because there was always something going on in the background, and little stuff, something moving, not moving, something might be sitting on the counter. Now it's gone. It's just, you really had to kind of pay attention, and it just felt like it had more in it, that from start to finish, which is, this last one really had none of that. Or very little. There was the cat clock with the swinging tail stopped once or twice, but I don't know. Maybe that was accident. I don't know if that was
no, that was intentional.
No, this one seemed a lot more rushed than the last one, and they're all rushed. I mean, they crank them out in a year, but this one, the fourth one, definitely seemed a lot more rushed than the other 3. Even the first one, it seemed more rushed than the first one, I thought.
It just seemed mostly pointless.
Yeah, like they just cranked it out. We don't want to move the story forward, but we want to keep you entertained until we can make more money from you.
And it's hard to argue with the money, even though it didn't make as much as the last one did, for how much it cost.
Yeah, they've already made profit.
Yeah.
They're already profitable. So they're spinning off a Latin version of Paranormal Activity. What do you hope shows up in it? My wife's Latina. I really want them to be true to Hispanic roots, because I think if you're gonna go that route, if you're gonna make a Paranormal Activity and make it Hispanic, because they want to show their appreciation for the Hispanic community, because I guess they've embraced it a lot for whatever reason. There's a lot of superstition in the Hispanic culture, a lot. And I think they should definitely play into that more and actually make it more beneficial to the story, instead of just making a Telemundo Paranormal Activity. You know what I mean? I mean, incorporate the culture. Don't just make it in Spanish.
With a bunch of busty women just kind of running around. Oh, it's mío!
Why does he want to kill me?
I think it'd be kind of interesting, because we know that the superstition was there from the second movie. The nanny was Hispanic, and she was.
Yeah, I would love to see that nanny show up, either in a cameo or hell, fucking. She's the one who has to come in. This house is clear. with her sage.
That could be their
just kind of waving it around the house.
But we were talking how Robbie is the key to get us into the fifth one. Mm-hmm. I think that could be the key to get into the Latin American one.
No, that's a good point.
So I would kind of like to see that.
I'd like to see it as its own entity. Other than the nanny coming in, I don't think you have to have the same demon. I think it'd be interesting to have a completely new set of circumstances for it. I would like to see it involve the Day of the Dead. I think there's a lot of iconography and production value that you could get out of a Day of the Dead kind of setting to drive home some scares.
Did you guys stay through the credits?
No,
I was disappointed with what they showed. It was like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It was definitely a spin-off for the Spanish version,
Yeah.
though, because it was all in Spanish, and that was totally for the
Paranormal
spin-off.
Activity Cinco.
Yeah. I mean, it's just whatever you do, just don't make it Telemundo, man. Like, make it true to Hispanic roots. Then it will probably be something interesting.
Now, and I don't speak Spanish.
I mean, call him Jose instead of Toby or something. I mean, but keep it true.
I kind of like to know what they were saying. I don't speak Spanish, so I can't. The 30 seconds that
my
I
wife
did.
isn't going to watch it, so I can't help you there.
Yeah.
She won't.
Yeah.
It's got
I want them to
ghosts.
show a chupacabra.
That'd be awesome.
Now, here's the biggest question. Okay, we've talked about the films, and we've talked about all of them, but definitely the fourth the most. Where does the series go from here, or should it just stop?
In the first film, you have one camera, and that's it. You don't have these moments at night where you're transitioning away from it to others. You got the one, that's it, and I liked it. But of course, for the second film, you've got to up the ante a little bit. All right, so we're living in a modern era. Houses have got security systems. Let's have that be our mode of watching this family go around. And that was fine. I kind of got it. Though the third or fourth time you see night number whatever and then switch, it starts to lose a little bit of its drama, especially when nothing ever happens. Like the camera looking out the front door. Mm-hmm. And they get to the third film, they rein back the number of cameras they've got, but they use them in more interesting ways. With the whole putting it on a fan sort of thing was really fun, and I liked that they did that. With the fourth one, though, it was all just a bunch of still shots from these computers that never go anywhere except for the girl's laptop, which apparently has got a battery that's eternal, or it's got an arc reactor in it from Iron Man movies. And her phone. I would like to see the next film be the last, and I would really like to see them, okay, if we're going to have to broaden it, let's really broaden it. I would love to see some police camera footage.
Oh, that's
I would
good.
like to see that kind of shit involved. A news camera, security cameras at other buildings, or whether we're talking about traffic cams. I mean, if you've got this 100 army strong coven, fuck it, blow the roof off of it. Let's see some real shit.
Let's tie it in with Jim Caviezel's Person of Interest TV show on CBS.
Fuck yeah, I mean, you watch that show and you realize we are under watch 24 hours a day.
That's actually really brilliant, Justin, because you could totally tie in all four movies with that idea, because at some point people died in all these movies. Mm-hmm. Cops were going to be there at some point. So you could have callbacks to all four movies in the fifth one by using police footage. That could be awesome.
This isn't footage that's assembled by someone who found it later,
right,
a la Blair Witch. So then fuck it. Let's really use this artifice.
I like that idea.
I kind of like the idea of actually filming it normal style, like a regular movie, mm-hmm, and then just at night or something like that, then you switch to home video cameras. Like, you've already upped the ante of what the films are. Why don't you add some real production value to it? We've done the home video secret cameras over and over. I like Justin's idea. Actually, that makes my idea a little more moot. But just to shake it up, just to have a mix, of live action. Then you can add a little bit more production value to it. A little more special effects, a little more, where it seems more natural that you're just watching this family. They're not, they're not randomly setting up cameras that watch everything they do.
I think that would become distracting after a while, because part of the appeal is that you're not watching a movie. You're peering into the life of somebody. I think you would lose some of that by doing some of that.
But at some point, though, that's going to wear out. At some point, we're going to be going, this is overplayed. This whole, how many possible cameras can we have now? And if they're cranking these out one a year, technology is not advancing that fast to where all of a sudden every movie they've got 2 or 3 new creative ways of some sort of new camera, new technology, whether it's phones or computers, handheld, head-mounted, whatever, glass, in your glasses. There's only so much they can do.
Ooh, spy cams.
Everybody
gets spy cams.
I want Predator drone.
Predator drone. Just flies over and you see
Or
thousands
that
of
fucking
witches.
tomahawk missile comes flying in and you see that demon face.
Bottom line, though, as
So
far
what
as
would you have looking in a kind of a warm room? So you have a bunch of reds and yellows and oranges, and then all of a sudden this little blue thing comes in where it's really cool.
it's blobs.
It's Bob.
Black dot.
That's where that cold devil demon spirit is.
Bottom line, though, as far as where we want it to go, I think we all kind of agree, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we just want more answers and we want it wrapped up. Because the formula is wearing a little thin. I don't want to say quit while you're ahead, because even though this movie is making money compared to how much it costs to make, you're not going to... People are going to still see it. That's the problem. Is that...
Here's the thing. With this series, people aren't invested in the story. Not as much as probably us and real film
Right.
fans are.
That's true.
Most people that go see this, they don't give a fuck about the continuation of the story. So use one more movie, wrap up this storyline so that we have all the answers we want, and then start something new. Call it Paranormal Activity do-over. I don't care what you call it. But you know they're going to make more. And obviously, the next one's not going to be the last one. If it makes $5, they're going to make another one. So end it with the next one, so at least we have an ending, and you satisfy the people that have stuck with this shit for so long.
Right.
You could still do your scares, and which is all people go to this movie for, to watch the cameras and hopefully not see what's coming and get the shit scared out of them. That's the only reason they go. The storyline with Katie walking around like a zombie, that's not what they show up for. I don't think.
Or give her a tighter, fucking tank top.
Oh, she lost a lot of weight, and it looks good.
I thought she looked fantastic in
She
the
really
first
did.
film.
She did. She's a little beefy, but
That's fine with me.
Scotty likes them thinner. So she's
Thinner's a winner. Is that what he said?
The winner is the thinner.
the winner's a thinner. That's his mantra.
I will tell you though. My brother and I were kind of joking about the fourth film, and you see the dad just kind of watching TV. We're looking at each other like, "Man, I'm glad there's no camera watching me because you just see me jerking off all the time, and I don't need my daughter watching that.
Wow.
It would not be the video you want to see."
We don't need an outtake for that one, do we?
Justin's going to put a little Kleenex over his Kinect camera when he gets home.
Oops, I accidentally joined a party.
Just see you looking around, nobody's here. All right, then you just hear boom, 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 boom.
And I got a question.
Porno star.
What is with this teen girl running around with her? Obviously, she's in Skype camera, but when she gets scared and she's running through the house and she's still carrying her fucking laptop with her. Tell me that's not the stupidest.
Sure,
Yeah,
but so
mechanic.
is a kid carrying around a VHS camera in Blair Witch or what the fuck?
Yeah, but they have handles
Cloverfield.
on those cameras. They're designed to be mobile. A laptop is not designed to be running around
But
with.
if a monster is chasing me, I don't care if it's got a handle or not. I'm dropping the fucker.
I'm throwing it.
I run slow as it is. I'm just saying, you don't want to record my living room. That's all I'm saying, or my office,
Or put a black light in there.
I don't want to visit it now.
No,
Sticky.
you don't want a black light either. No.
Okay, so let's wrap it up. You can make the next movie about whatever you want. I'm not even preparing you guys. You can make the next movie about whatever you want. What do you want it to be about, Justin?
You mean if we're not following the present story, if we're starting something completely new?
Anything you want to do. Anything you want to do. What would the next movie be?
I would like to see them, if we're going to stick with horror, I'd like to see them get away from ghosts or demons and maybe get into something, and God save me, maybe something more like vampires or something. Something a little more, maybe zombies might be, but God, everybody's getting so tired of zombies. Yeah, I will say that The Last Exorcism was such an interesting found footage type movie. I wouldn't mind something kind of like that. Maybe someone who documents their, oh God, it'd be really kind of cool. Well, and they kind of already, they already did it.
I feel like I'm in a schizophrenic's head.
Just workings of my inner mind. I was about to say, I'd love to see a movie like those Ghost Hunter movies, but they kind of did that with, what was it called?
Ghost Hunters?
No, Scare something. The people were all in that insane asylum. It didn't turn out all that great, but now they're making a sequel to it, which actually looks pretty fucking
You mean
scary.
the David Caruso? No, wait.
American Horror Story?
No. There was a movie, Scare Phenomena or something. It was a group of these ghost hunters. They went to an insane asylum, and they never made it out. By the end of the movie, they were all dead. And now they're making another one that's kind of playing off. This movie was so scary. This insane asylum now gets people coming to it just to look, and a kind of a sequel as breaking kind of that fourth wall kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
I forget what it's called. Scary Encounters or something.
Okay, so
Anyway, I don't know. I honestly I can't tell you. My mind is all over the place. Obviously.
What about you, Brian? If you could make the next one about whatever you wanted.
I just want to know more about the Coven. Really, I just want to know more about it. I don't care how they do it. I don't care if they bring in introduce a whole other family. For all I care, I don't. At this point, we're into movie number 5. They haven't really said anything about them too much. This one, I just kind of want to know more about this. Just move it. Just keep moving it. Just move it forward. But this feels like we've just been standing with our feet stuck in some mud or something. I don't know, or cement. This was just bad.
The unfortunate thing is we're all going to see the other two. You know, as
Yeah,
much as
yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to see the Latin one. I don't speak Spanish.
I mean, if it's subtitled, you're not going to watch it?
Probably not. No. Mm-mm.
Oh, I would.
I'm an American.
Yeah.
Speak American.
I'm American.
I speak American. I don't want to have to read. You can't see a movie like this and read it. You know?
I've seen a couple of these Japanese horror movies subtitled, and it worked.
Yeah.
Come back to me when you're done.
Okay.
I had an idea, but I missed my turn.
Was
so-
it about zombies or vampires?
No, neither.
Thank God. All right, Scott.
I can't agree with the zombies or vampires thing for Paranormal Activity, although I would like to see some found footage movies in that realm instead of the high production values. But I like Justin's idea. I'm stealing his idea. The police footage thing sounds fantastic to me because, like I said, callbacks to the others. But at the end of it, I want one more and that's it. And I want it wrapped up. I don't want there being Paranormal Activity 9. Quit while you're ahead, so to speak. Wrap it up. Give us some answers, like Brian said.
Paranormal Activity 9, and it's about a German uprising.
Oh God.
No,
It's about Herman Cain.
I want to
999.
that's even better.
I want it all tied up and wrapped up in a satisfying way. I'm tired of walking out of these scary movies that have so much potential and then just wind up and I'm disappointed. What was that one that got that Justin reviewed last year that was
The Devil Within.
yeah, like just endings that make you go what the hell? I don't want to walk out of Paranormal Activity 5 with my hands up and pissed off I just spent $10 to see it. Make it satisfying.
Don't go to IMAX then.
Yeah. Well, that was $14.50.
I just want it wrapped up. I'm with these guys. I want them to come up with a story that explains Robbie, explains what's going on with Hunter and Katie. I want Katie to stop walking the fuck around. Go ahead and do your zombie run. I'm good with that. You did a good job with the monster run. You just did a shitty job with that zombie walk. It drives me insane. Please stop it. You make me laugh every time you do it.
Yeah.
And I want the story wrapped up. And I want the film to be tightly scripted. Not like, I think the third one was actually really well scripted, and they really plotted it out well. I want it more like the third one, not like this one, because this one just seems like they just slapped it together. And like you said, wrap the story up, be done with it. I love the police camera and using some different ideas angle. That's genius. I thought FaceTime was definitely an interesting way. They didn't use it as well as I like. I really like the Connect option. If they did more with that and made it more creative, I think that could be an awesome addition. Maybe incorporate some Connect Sports in there somewhere. That'd be fun to watch with Katie doing it. Justin, coming back to you. What was your...
Well, you both made reference to the police idea. What if the next film, what if it started off in some kind of police ready room or one of those rooms where they kind of get their orders for the day, and there's a group has been brought together to go chase after this suspected murderer who is also suspected to be a member of a cult because of the way these deaths were done. But instead of following the family, we follow a group of police officers as they go to chase down a person they believe to just be a murderer, and then they get swept up in events that are far beyond anything they ever thought they would handle. I think that'd be a really fun, unique, and new approach to this particular storyline. Let's show the results of this in the outside world. Bring that in a little bit.
That would be. You could do that. You could have a confession, and you could have a whole story in a police station.
Sure, exactly.
But isn't part of the I guess part of what makes this work is that only one or two people really know anything's going on. You start doing it in a big area like a police station, you're going to have 10, 15 people sitting around going, damn, I just saw that knife fly from one side of the room to the other.
Or the exact same counter.
Yeah, I just left this room. I know nobody was in there, and now the doors are slamming open and shut.
You know what I'd like to see in the first 5 minutes of the next one? Not that I have anything against the character or her, but just to be really get you into the movie in the first 5 minutes, kill off Katie. Like right away.
I could agree with that. I think she's worn out her
how about
story.
get her run over for a freaking change? She walks in that slow-ass zombie walk from across the street. I can't believe she could do that and nobody runs over her.
And the thing
how does she get across the street? And how much longer does it take her to get over there? It's getting me.
Why does she do it when she can obviously run like a motherfucker? She ran like Carl Lewis at the end. I don't know why she can't do it the whole rest of the movie. We're wrapping the show up. I hope everybody liked the spoiler cast. Anything? Any last words? Anything you want to say about the Paranormal series, guys, before we head out?
Nah, just wrap it up.
Nothing more to add.
No,
because you killed off Katie already in your mind. Justin?
No, just big shout out, thanks to the guys who created it. I think it's been a fun franchise. I think it's given me more scares per movie than just about any film franchise has. So good on you.
Agreed.
Brian?
Yeah, that's a pretty good sentiment. I mean, it's one of the best value horror movies, franchises especially, that you can get. I mean, for what little bit of special effects, a little bit of really good acting, there's no star power in these movies. A lot of the tricks and all the scare tactics are pretty genius overall as a whole. But this if going on the merits of this fourth movie alone, this franchise needs to be put to bed and put to bed fast. So,
yeah, if they could recapture part 3 in the next one, but still end the story, I would be really excited. But whatever happens, they need to end it with the next movie and start over. The franchise has been fantastic. We obviously all love it, or we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it for an hour.
Right.
But there comes a time when every franchise did it. They had a nice run, and I thought they ran out of steam in the second movie.
I was going to say, I only liked the first one of the Saw movies.
Yeah, go figure. But for whatever reason, people love going back. Well, this one has actually been genuinely scary. It's not gory. It's not gross. Sometimes I wonder why it's even rated R, because really not much happens.
Just vulgarity.
But it's a good franchise. You guys have done a great job. You've given us a lot of scares, so we appreciate everything they've done in the series. Now wrap it up and get on your Telemundo version. So with that, this is the Hollywood Outsider Podcast. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be Thursday for our new episode because Halloween is this week, and we're not going to record on Halloween. We're too busy scaring people and stealing candy. So this is the Hollywood Outsider, and from all of us, the next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn.
Adios mío.